Hello, Flosstube. This is Elizabeth Martinez, phantastitches, coming at you on this rainy uh, Saturday from Phoenix, Arizona, which is normally very hot and dry. But it is November here, so it's getting into the colder season here. Today is the 22nd. Yeah, 22nd, according to all my devices. uh, November 22nd. So Thanksgiving is coming up in the United States on this coming Thursday. And we're we have plans. We're going to be eating at my younger sister's house as usual. For the past several years, we've met there. Um, the layout of her house, her dining area, and everything. Excuse me. Is The way it's laid out is more conducive to when the family used to all get together. My parents, her family, me and my sister, my nephew, um, her kids, whatever. My sister in law. It was a big, pretty big layout, and so I think this year. Some people have to work, some people aren't, whatever, so there aren't quite as many people, but it's still a more comfortable layout there, and all that. So anyway, we're gonna be meeting there, and I forgot where I was going with this. Just that we're sort of like uh, very busy with other things going on. Plus, my older sister, she has the only car, but for both her and me, for our various doctor's appointments, and she has to, she works teaching young Rembrandt's art program for after school for kids, whatever. Um, so, um, but some I guess a couple weeks ago, um, she had an issue with the car. It has those little electronic dingy um, alerts for, like, when you have low tire pressure, when you're and there's, I don't know, various things that have this little dingy thing, that sets off, and it started, like, all these alarms were going off for no reason. Obviously, all these things were not wrong with the car, but supposedly they were all going off. Anyway, it's a long story, but it's finally seems to have been fixed. And then we picked up the car yesterday. What's today? Today's Thursday, so I guess it was Monday or Tuesday, and it was supposedly fixed. But then, like, yesterday, Wednesday, yeah, no, today's Saturday. Yesterday was Friday. Yeah, so I know we were, it was like making this weird sound, like um, a little bit like something was loose, something, whatever. It wasn't right. And so we went back to the dealership. And Eve said, I just picked this car up yesterday and it was fine. And now it's making this weird sound, And so supposedly they have it fixed now. That something was loose, and and fortunately they're not charging us more, because they already charged us a bizarre, horrible amount for the, to get the other thing fixed. Anyway, so yeah, it's been a weird saga, and we, yeah, so that's been going on, and then and because Naomi's been working very long hours because of her, the concert situation with all with her uh, job. She's been very busy, and it's just like, you know. So anyway, yeah, it's a very busy uh, holiday season so far, and we're hoping that it'll ease up once Thanksgiving is over. Um, anyway, so that's going on, and it rained like crazy today. We filmed our Three Sisters Sticks and Strings video last night at Naomi's, so that was Friday night, because because she had to work. She had things going on today, and so we thought, okay, well, we'll film Friday night, and it's not going to come out till Sunday morning, but that way, we filmed at her house um, and all that. Um, so today, even I didn't have anything going on. I did have some fabric to dye. I'll show you that in a minute. Um, but so while that was drying, he said, "Hey, do you want to go to Hobby Lobby? Let's go to Hobby Lobby, because I want to do this and that and the other, because some Christmas things she's working on." And I was like, "Oh yeah, okay. You don't have to twist my arm very hard to go to Hobby Lobby." Um, but as we were driving over there, it was starting to rain. It's been very very rainy here. A few days ago, there was a big storm. Parts of the Phoenix area had hail, very heavy rain, just uh, very very rainy. And out here in Santan, there were some periods where it rained a lot. It rained very heavily over the last several days. And today, uh, this morning, it was very overcast. When we were going out to Hobby Lobby, we were like, and it looked, the sort of glowering clouds and lightning and things like that. But it was barely sprinkling when we first set out. And then by the time we got to Hobby Lobby, it was raining pretty substantially. We had to sort of scurry in, run between the drops, and get in. And then when we were coming out, it was raining. I think it had rained pretty heavily because I was waiting for Eve because she was still doing some shopping, and I had already checked out. And I was like, there was I saw there was a chair in the little sort of outer door display area. You anyway. So I was sitting there waiting for her, and I heard somebody say something. They go, "Oh, it's really coming down now," and you couldn't. I couldn't see from in there. How hard it was raining, um, but when we went out, when we left Hobby Lobby, it was, you know, it was raining a little heavier than when we went in, and then when we were driving home, it was just like you know. But anyway, so now tonight, getting back, it's nice to be in the house because it's still raining off and on here and there, all over the Phoenix area. We were coming back at like at like 4 o'clock, 4:30, and it was very dark outside, like nighttime. The headlights on the car were coming on. Anyway, so yeah, so it's been a blustery day, and so I'm just now getting around to doing my my update because yeah, all kinds of things going on. So anyway, um, so I do have a finish, and my WIPGO goals have all been met basically. I'm doing a little bit extra, and then I want to start on the um, what is it called? Winter Woods? Is that what it's called? Winter Woods Biscornu by the Blue Flower that I'm doing for the Jingle Ball, one of the classes, the Jingle Ball. So you can get a general admission ticket, of course. I think I've said this before, which is only like $15, plus tax or whatever. Um, and that'll get you just general admission to the Jingle Ball, and you can enjoy yourself that way. But if you want to take one of the classes, there are the there's sort of PDF kit where they'll just send you a link to a PDF and you kit it up yourself and that sort of thing. The PDF version of the class project, whatever. So you can stitch it yourself, and then the class, excuse me, takes place during the Jingle Ball. You go to the class and they show you how to finish it or whatever. Um, and so whether you finish it in time to do the class or not, or you just follow along, you have like 30 days after the day of the class to rewatch the video as many times as you need to to give you finishing instructions or whatever. And I know how to make a bush corn. I think I've talked about this before. So the for me the the specifics about how to do it are not as crucial as just like perhaps whatever tips that Jeannine McGowan may have in regard to biscoinos in general or whatever. So anyway, so I did, like I said, dye some fabric today and this morning, um, and so I have that I'm going to be working on. I think basically starting probably not tonight, but probably tomorrow. Um, yeah. So I want to talk about my finish first. I think so for November, my four WIPGO um, uh, projects. Um, they were number 3 and number 22 were the numbers that were called for WIPGO. So number 3, the whip I had was the Swans, and that was the one I showed last week that I had finished, right? Um, and then and the other one was Calling of the Sea Whale. That was my number 22 whip, and I'll show you that in a minute. Um, And then the two new starts, number 3 was the Statehood series Arkansas, and number 22 was Animal Crackers Chilli. Animal Crackers by Stacey Nash. Anyway, so the Swans I had already finished, and so then I worked on the whale for a while. I'll show you that. I'll show you that in a minute. But I did this thread milk Statehood Splendor series. Sorry about the glare. I can try to I keep it. I have got it in the plastic bag just because I'm getting ready to put it away. Um, but so this is I guess the 38th state. Arkansas was admitted to the Union in 1836. That's the number there. It was the 25th. Well, this is 38 and this is 25th. So I don't know if it was the 25th state. Um, Let me look at the information. The nice thing about these the Statehood Splendor series is that within the chart for the series, the charts have like the state flower. Like in this case, these butterflies are also state some kind of state symbol. Um, And so she also includes Arkansas state facts, date of statehood, June 15th, 1836, the 25th state, state capital Little Rock, state nickname is the natural state motto, regnant populus, the people rule, state butterfly, Diana fritillary butterfly, and they have the male and female versions, I think, I believe, in this picture. There's the male and female there. Um, State fruit and vegetable, vine ripe pink tomato. That's what these are here. And the state gem is a diamond. I don't think that's on here anywhere, but I know that and the state instrument is the fiddle. I know that there's a place called what is it called Diamond, yeah, Crater of Diamonds State Park, and basically anybody can go there and dig in the dirt for diamonds, and whatever you find, you get to keep. So there are people who found like really big diamonds there, natural raw diamonds. But anyway, so of course I lived in Little Rock for 25 years, and that's why I'm doing the state of Arkansas. And so this is my finish. So this calls for um, DMC, 1 week Star Works, one Classic Color Works, one Gentle Arts, and one Valdani color. And the only thing I switched was the Valdani. Instead of khaki black, I used a Week Star Works mascara, just because I don't have the Valdani color and couldn't lay my hands on it easily. So, and I already had mascara, so I just chose a black from my stash. But otherwise, the lettering AR 25 1836, that's the DMC color. Um, this blue and all these other colors are oh, there's one other DMC. Oh, the vine, I think, is a DMC color. So yeah, so it's a mixture of fancy floss and DMC. But this is on 25 count Lugana. And I have another piece of this for the other two states that I'm going to do. So I did Indiana on here and Arkansas. And it's not quite big enough for a third one. I think, I mean, I could squeeze a third one in there, but, um, I left a couple of inches between these two for finishing. And so, if I did less than 2 inches here, I could probably squeeze a third one in. I don't know. I have to do some measuring if I want to try that, but I might just, I think I have another piece of this Lugana. This is natural, is the color. It's a 25 count Lugana. I think I got it at Hobby Lobby. But so I think I have another piece because I'm going to do New Mexico and Arizona to round out the 4 states that I've lived in. I went to graduate school in Indiana, and then and of course I lived in Arkansas. So yeah. Um, but the other two, I guess, are not on my WIPGO chart this year. I put them in storage. I don't know. I don't know, but I don't. They're not on a WIPGO chart right now, but they probably will be next year. I haven't done my 2026 WIPGO chart yet, but I intend to very soon. So one of my WIPGO things, of course, the Swans I finished. The other one, another one was the other one I should say was Calling of the Sea Whale. So this is also a new start slash whip, because it's a whip because I did these other two. So this is theoretically the third of the series. So it's a whip, but I haven't started this yet, so it's technically a new start also. So I think I've said that 1,000 times. Um, the whale was the chart, and this is where I got so far. And this is 28 count Lugana that I dyed myself. So this is the top of the design, and there's the whale outlined. So I kind of went all over the place. I outlined the whale because I wanted to not spend my 7 days just like doing rows and rows and rows of white. Well, of I think it's officially cattail is the color of this white color. So I did the white outline part, and there's some like this is this gray color. It's this one here that's used in this wave motif here, but it's also used like in these little speckles on his forehead, and then the white cattail color is used in the speckles on his tummy here, and then the background on this is flatfish, which I know I have, but I didn't have it handy. So anyway, but I did those individual little speckles on there, and then the inside of the whale is just rows and rows of white of this white cattail color. And then so I did the waves across the top, and then I did the flagpole here and this part of the flag here, the blue part of the flag, and I did not those little star places are also more of this whitewash color, and then the white stripes are of that color also. But so I did the blue, and then I went ahead and did this top stripe of red is finished, and then this bottom one I did part of, and then I think both of these are white, yeah, as I recall. But since I had the red, I did the little stripes on his tail, and there's like a, I don't think it's flatfish. I think it's another, but it's another fancy floss color makes up the other part of his tail here. And then down here, there are some, I guess Quakers you would call them, that are made up of different colors, blue and gray and whatever, and they all have this red center. And since I had the blue thread because I was working on this, I had the blue thread out, so I just used up the last of what I had to do this part of this little Quaker that's, down here. So like I said, I have to do the background of the whale's fluke, and this background of this background, and his eye, and the inside of his mouth. I did not do those, and then these little Quakers across the bottom. And so yeah, there's the rest of the flag that has to be finished. So I did about a third of it, I guess, maybe, if not counting the whale. um, so yeah, so that's 7 days on the whale. So I hit my goal, you know, and so I don't know when I'm going to get back to it, but there it is. There's Calling of the Sea. And then my other new start for November was another Stacey Nash. This is one of her Animal Crackers series, which I knocked that down. And this is, so I did Millie the elephant and Blizzard the fox. I did those very briefly back in June, I think. I don't know if it was June and July or they were both in June. I kind of think they were both in June. And because I was doing, Millie and Blizzard were both in June, I was doing summer camp. So I just squeezed in like in one day. I think I did a little bit on both of those just to start them because there's no specific goals for my new start. So I just did like a couple of lengths of thread for each of those, and But Chilli was my one of my new starts for this month, and I've still been working on it. I worked on it this morning, or last night, this morning, whatever. So I've been working on it for the last couple of days, and and he's got a lot of white in his tummy, and I haven't gotten to that part yet. But I did get a little bit further on him than I did on Millie and Blizzard. So his little hat is here, and this is the little strings for his hat, the little string for his hat, and this is beak. And then I just outlined part of the penguin's body, and I outlined his hat. And right now I'm working on this here, and there's like a little design of like four little clusters of 4, 6, whatever, four of another color. So that's why there's the hole right here, because that other color goes in there. And then his eye and cheek and all that go in here. I haven't done those, but that's my needle lighter. But so yeah, I'm working on this, and these are all Weeks Dye Works colors. Yeah. So this is mascara and blue coat red are the two colors I was working with here, and charcoal is his main color of his beak. But yeah, so that's that, and this is I think a 32 count linen. I don't know where it's from, but I don't think I dyed it myself. I think I bought it this way. This color. It's kind of a light minty green. Yeah. So yeah. So I'm probably going to do a little bit more just to finish off the thread that I'm working on now. It'll, coming down this way. And maybe if I feel energetic, I'll do this, this other, it's sanguine, this other color that, the little design on his hat, and it's the same color that's used for his cheek. So this, these little design things in his hat, and then his cheek, they're all that sanguine color. So I'm going to see if I can get that in just so that it's taken care of, and I don't know. We'll see. But after today, I would like to get started on my project for the Jingle Ball for the class, and the Jingle Ball, and that is Winter Woods Biscornu by Jeannine McGowan of the Blue Flower. And that's her design. It's got all kinds of animals. There is an owl. I want to say, is it an ermine? Weasel. It's a weasel. A lynx, fox, a waxwinged bird, waxwing. I think there's a squirrel. There's a cardinal. What did I say? Lynx, fox, weasel, barn owl, waxwing, cardinal, um, and I think a couple of squirrels. And then trees branches and stuff. So yeah, it's very, very, very cute. And then on the underside of the biscornu, there's like a mountain peak with snow on it to make the corners. And like if you were to buy the kitted up uh, kit from the Jiggle Ball, um, it comes with wooden buttons, for the middle, and then of course all the threads and all that. But so since we were at Hobby Lobby today, I picked up a couple of buttons. I think I like the look of these, but I think they're too big. But I bought them anyway. But there's also these little flowers that are would look buttons, but I got those as well. So probably I'll use two of these for the biscornu, but it depends on what the design is in the middle. I might use these. Just depends on how it looks. I haven't looked at the pattern that closely yet to see um, what colors are involved, but it is a mixture of um, DMC, Roxy Floss, and Cottage Garden threads. And so I had some of the Cottage Garden threads. Um, Actually, I don't know. There's three that are called for here: Silver Birch, Nimbus, and Sleepy Cat. And I have another blue flower pattern. I think it's Pigeon and Puddle that I have that has that calls for Cottage Garden threads. Oh no no, the Festive Forest from last December, last Jingle Ball. Um, Jeannine McGowan's Festive Forest that we called the Muffin in class. I took her class, um, but it calls for Cottage Garden threads, and I had debated when I bought it whether or not I was going to use the Cottage Garden threads or use the DMC alternatives because at the time um, I thought, well, I don't want to order them from Australia because I don't know how long it would take, and I was having trouble finding some of the colors here locally. I mean, local. Not everybody carried them, so so I was still hemming and hawing about that. But I decided to go ahead and pull the trigger, and I ordered a whole bunch of threads from. So I ordered some DMC. I don't remember which pattern it's for, but there were a couple of DMC color variations colors that um, nobody had locally, and so I have this list of threads I need to order. So I put them on there because I thought, well, I want to order those, but I don't know yet. And then I had the list of Cottage Garden threads, the colors that I couldn't find, and then because one of my viewers very kindly sent me some of the three of the colors that I needed, but of course not all of them. So I had some that I still needed to order, and then some that were on this list, and then also the Roxy Floss. Which I have some Roxy Floss colors, but not these specific ones. So anyway, the other day I just pulled the trigger and ordered them all. So I ordered from One Two Three Stitch. I ordered the DMC color variations and something else, some other color from them, some other fancy floss or something from them. And then Roxy Floss I ordered from Evertote, which is I think the only place you can get those. I don't know. And then the other thing was Cottage Garden Threads, and I guess I don't know if they have a USA distributor or something. Anyway, but I ordered the Cottage Garden Threads. So yeah, so I ordered a bunch of floss. Um, so I'm waiting for that to come in the mail. And while we were at Hobby Lobby, I went ahead and got the DMC for that is required for um, this class piece for the Winterwoods Biscornu. Even though I know I have the DMC threads, I have them scattered in various projects, and so it's just easier to duplicate everything. So I since we were at Hobby Lobby already, I had to buy the threads. So anyway, I can actually get started on the Biscornu, um, just do the DMC threads that are called for. Um, See if I can where I can put them, whatever, where I can start on them while I wait for the other threads to come. But I wanted to dye fabric for the Biscornu. So this is a piece of 28 count Lugana, and I think it's like 20 by 24 or something. It's big, um, but you can't. It shows a little bluish, I guess, on the thing, but it's more of a green color, kind of blue. I don't know. But I really like the way it came out. I ironed it, but not completely. It's not like wrinkle free. It's just but I really like the way it came out. So I have not decided exactly where I'm gonna, you know, am I gonna put over here, or put it over here, or you know, do it on this side, or whatever. I haven't decided yet. So I'm gonna sort of look at. I don't think I want to cut it apart. Because you can cut apart. Like here's the front and here's the back, but but it's a little harder to get in the hoop basically, and I stitch with a hoop, um, and so like I did this summer with the biscornu that I did for the what is it, Starry Night biscornu for that I did for, I think it was August, uh, uh, summer camp, um, cross stitch camp. I had cut the pieces of fabric for the front and the back, and they were kind of hard to get in the hoop. They were a little, so it was a little fussy. And so if I leave it this big piece of cloth, and I can just put the hoop wherever, and not have to worry about fussling around with the either leaving a big wasteful margin or you know having a tiny piece that I'm trying to stick in a tiny hoop. So I can use a bigger hoop and have the whole Viscornu in one place and not have to move the hoop around. But so I haven't decided exactly what part of the fabric I'm gonna use, for the Viscornu. But I'm really happy with the way this turned out. And since we were filming at Naomi's uh, last night, I borrowed some time ago. I guess she dyed something um, for something, and so I had advised her, get a plastic shoe box, and you can use that to dye fabric in or whatever. And so when I was at her house, I said, "Can I borrow that bin?" Because when we were unpacking, I mean, little by little, my sister and I have been, taking boxes from the storage unit back here to the house, and say, "Oh, this is all kitchen stuff," and looking for things that we needed. And like right now, we're kind of in a quest to try to get in there and get some Christmas things out of there. But um, but one box that we came across was it said Beth Dye on there, DYE dye. And so I thought, oh, good, that's great. My dyes are in there because I knew I had a box with my dye bins, the bottles of dye, and various things. So I was very happy that we found that box. But one thing that's not in that box is the plastic shoebox bins that I used to dye in. I have like three of them, I think, that I used, to mix the dye in or whatever. And but they were not in that box, of course. They were like they're in some other box somewhere. Um, so yeah, so I borrowed the one box from her, and but I had all my dyes to choose from. So this is a very various combinations of greens. Um, there's one called Truly Green, and one called one Emerald Green, and one dark green, and then I put a little bit of blue in there, I think, also. Um, so it's bluish, greenish, bluish, but I really like the way it came out. The design has green, of course. It's got like forest, and then the animals and all that. So I didn't want it to be too green because I didn't want the trees to disappear on there. But I think they will show up, like the DMC colors look like they'll all show up very nicely on there. They look good against this blue color. So I think, especially that like this green, um, I think shows up well enough, you know. So that was my only concern in dyeing it. I wanted a color that would look foresty, but against which all the colors would show up. So I think I'm hoping I'm on the right track. Oh, sorry, that was my coaster. Um, I don't want to put my. Sorry, hang on. I dropped the coaster and I don't know where I dropped it. Hold on one second while I search diligently for it before I make a mess here. Okay, so I found the coaster. Yeah. Um, Very thirsty. Um, like I said, so in the next couple of days, I think I'm gonna at least get started on the Biscornu. Of course, I won't finish it before the class on the fifth. I mean, the Jingle Ball starts on the fifth. I think the class is on Saturday the sixth. Um, but um, but like I said, I know how to make a Biscornu. Um, I just want to see if if Jeannine has any specific tips or whatever, and I can of course take copious notes like I did during for the Festive Forest class, which I still haven't finished stitching. Um, but at least I've got I've got that set aside and started. It's actually it's on my WIPGO list, and it's coming up in December. It's one of my December uh, uh, projects. Yeah, so for December, the WIPGO numbers were 1, 13, and 25. So diagonal numbers on my chart, and and they're all Christmas related. There's a Prairie School Shanta, the 2024 Prairie School Shanta, and this Festive Forest. Um, the Merry Menagerie, it's another blue flower chart. The Blue Penguins, and oh, that was what I ordered from One Two Three Stitch. Santa Cruz is a week's dye work color, I think. That when I like they didn't have it at the attic, and there was some place I looked for it online that didn't have it. Also, um, but they did have it at One Two Three Stitch. So yeah, that was another thing I ordered for them. But the Blue Penguins, which is it's again it was something that came out at the Jingle Ball, the Merry Menagerie, and the Reindeer, which is another one of the Cottage Garden threads. I mean Cottage Garden samplings. Year in the Woods, that's the December thing. The Reindeer, and then one of the quirky Christmas patterns by Twin Peak Primitives, and one of Stephanie Webb of Lindy Stitches. One of her things from last year for the Jingle Ball, called the Up in the Rooftop stockings, the little stocking that she did. This is the third one, the Santa one, Santa on the Rooftop. So all three of those, both the whip and the new start, are all Christmas related. So it's very appropriate for December. Plus, so I've got three on those whip things. Plus the Jingle Ball stitching was the Winter Woods Biscornu, and yeah, and then I think for at least one of my friends, maybe a couple of them, I'm going to be doing some Christmas stitching. So yeah, I'm going to be cramming everything in there. And I thought, well, I wanted to do some stitching for at least one or two projects as Christmas presents. I don't want to be the kind of aunt, like I said, I think I said this before. I don't want to be the kind of aunt that, like, every year I give something cross stitchy, especially because I've got relatives that probably don't want cross stitch stuff. They want a gift card to someplace or whatever. Um, but a couple people I know of would appreciate cross stitch stuff or whatever. It'd be different for them or whatever. So, but I want something quick and fast and small that I could whip out in time because Christmas is coming up very soon, in a month. Um, and in order to be able to ship those or whatever, I want to get started on it as quickly as possible. So I have to look amongst my things. Oh, well, and the problem is that some of my patterns, of course, are still in storage. We found some of the stuff, but some of it is put away. Uh, Speaking of which, that's how this shirt that I'm wearing, the long sleeve T-shirt, which is appropriate because it's gotten colder here. It's in the 60s, whatever. So it's not very cold compared to some parts of the country, but very cold for us because it was like in the 80s, not too long ago, a couple of weeks ago or whatever. But it's gotten down to the 60s and even the 50s at night. Yeah. So this T-shirt, I have I have a sort of a penchant for antiques. Um, Not everything I own is an antique, but I'm really charmed by them. Like one of the things we have uh, in our home, it's in storage, um, is an old stand-up radio, tall radio that my parents got as a wedding gift from one of my uncles. And he got it used, of course. It's an older radio, but I remember when I was a kid, it was in the hallway and it used to work. And you turn it on and it had this green eye that glowed. It looked like an eye that glowed when the radio was on because you had to it had the big tubes in the back. You had to turn it on and let it warm up. But it had these long vertical wooden, like slats, coming down that had there's a fabric, behind them where the speaker was there. And because, like I said, it's tall. It's about this big, standing on the floor. And I remember sitting on the in the hallway, on the floor in the hallway, with my back against the wall and my feet against the radio, like in the little slots between these wooden slat things, on my feet in the radio, and listening to a song in the '60s. There was a song by the Singing Nun, I guess. I know they made a movie about her, but she was a real person. This nun who sang. Anyway, the song she sang, part of the chorus went Dominiki Niki Niki, and I remember just sitting listening to that song on the radio when I was a kid. But anyway, so I have that radio. Said, yeah, we need to keep that. I had it for a long time in my apartment in Little Rock. I used it, there, put my stuff, getting ready for work and stuff. So yeah, it's still there. And anyway, I have what's called a tall boy, which is a chest of drawers basically. It has like the big bottom drawer where I had like just random t-shirts and shorts and things like that. A middle drawer, another drawer where I had my pajamas, and there's three drawers on top where I have my socks, my underwear, my bras, whatever. And they have a little, couple of doors over those three drawers. So I have this in my room, and um, uh, when we were getting ready to move, I went through those drawers and I thought, some of this stuff can go to be either go to Goodwill or be thrown away or whatever. And but I had a bunch of ASO T-shirts that I decided that I wanted to keep, but I had them in the bottom of the drawer. I really didn't wear them very often, and this is one of them. It says ASO on the front. That was our logo there. Um, so it's Arkansas Symphony, and on the back, I'm not going to show. I can't show it, but it says Beethoven and Blue Jeans. We used to do a concert series every year called Beethoven and Blue Jeans, and so the orchestra members would wear blue jeans, and we would have a shirt for each season. So they would print a new T-shirt every year we would wear a different T-shirt for this concert, and that was sort of our gimmick, a casual concert, as opposed to where normally we would dress in our blacks, right? Um, the men in black tailcoats basically, and the women in black whatever. But we did when we did this Beethoven and Blue Jeans concert, it was more casual clothing, right? All the orchestra was wearing jeans and these T-shirts, and I had forgotten I even owned this, because it was in the bottom of my drawer. And the other day I was looking for something warm to wear, something clean to wear, and I dig around and thought, oh yeah, maybe I should wear one of these ASO T-shirts. And I pulled it out, and there was it had long sleeves. And like, yay, it's good because it's so cold. So I was very happy to find, and I have a few more in there that I'd forgotten that I owned. Like the other day, I found a shirt that it says Phoenix Zoo on it, and it's so old. It's something that I bought, I think, before I moved out here when I went to visit. I came to visit Naomi for Christmas or something, and I bought this T-shirt at the zoo, and I forgot I owned it. So it was put away in the drawer. But anyway, so I'm very happy to have found this ASO T-shirt, and I have several of them. But anyway, so that is all. I've been talking for almost an hour. So, like I said, for this coming week, I'm gonna try to get started on the Winter Woods Biscornu and go from there because I've hit my goals, my goals for the new stars for Arkansas and for Chilli. The goal was only just there was no specific goal for those. Arkansas I finished already because it's such a small stitch, and and then Chilli I've done enough. I want to, like I said, I want to sort of finish the thread that I started and do a little bit more, but otherwise I'm finished with that. So I have all this coming week um, to work on the Winter Woods Biscornu. I have until the 5th actually, so I'm gonna see if I can. I might go a little monogamous on that, but I also might. I'm still looking, like I said, looking for a couple of Christmas charts. I don't know if I'm going to do specifically Christmas or something I could whip up in time to send out for Christmas to a few people. Um, I have a couple things in individuals in mind that I want to stitch something for, and so I want to look at um, what I have access to. I don't have, like I said, I don't have access to all of my patterns, but I have some of them here that I can look at to see. I don't know that there's anything I've finished already, but a couple of I'm working on some ideas in my brain about what I'm going to do for these two that I have in mind. Two individuals that I have in mind already specifically that want to do a stitchy thing for. Everybody else, I don't know what I'm going to get yet. I haven't even thought about. Well, I did buy one thing for my sister Eve. Her Christmas present was a pattern at the Jingle Ball she had been wanting to do uh, a hands-on design stand up for Santa. It's a class, but if you buy this pattern, if you want to take this class, you buy the pattern, or whatever. But you can't buy the pattern without taking the class, right? A year from now, it'll be available to the public. But for the Jingle Ball, if you want to do that pattern, you have to take the class, right? But so she was like, I don't know if I want to spend the money. And I thought that's a good Christmas present because then it's something stitchy. It's something that she really really wants. She really wanted this stand up for Santa, and it's one of those done on uh, big count fabric, like her hands on designs. Her what is it? Big awesome produce thing. She did this giant. There's a hare in my garden. It's a big. What do you call it? It's a big carrot. A berry sort, shape, but it's big, um, because it uses a very high count fabric and a very large, I should say, fabric, and uses what do you call it? Oh, I just pearl cotton. Um, to stitch it, you use pearl cotton, or you can use like 6 strands of DMC floss, to take the place of one strand of pearl cotton. So anyway, she last year, I guess, or at some point, Eve bought the There's a Hare in My Garden, and so she wanted to buy the Stand Up for Santa class, and like I said, she was kind of like, I don't know if I can really afford to spend the money on it or whatever. And so I gifted her that. So that's her early Christmas present. So yeah, that has made her very happy to work. And actually, she's very far along on Santa. I don't think she. I think she thinks she's not going to be able to finish it in time to do to finish it during the class, but I think she'll be far enough along that she can and I think Helen D, the East Coast stitcher, Helen D has had some various uh, tutorials about finishing stand-ups. So Eve's not unfamiliar with how to do a stand-up, but of course she wants to take the class with Kathy Haberman, and of course see what uh, suggestions and tips and tricks and all that she has for how she does a stand-up or whatever. I don't know. Um, I think Vonna Pfeiffer also did stand-ups, but I think somebody said that she had taken all her tutorials and videos offline. So that's a shame because I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed all the things that Vonna Pfeiffer had to offer, and it's really a shame that as far as I know, like I said, she's taken all her videos down, and that's really sad. But anyway, um, so Eve's going to be doing Stand Up for Santa for the Jingle Ball, and I'm going to be working on Winterwood's Biscornu for the Jingle Ball, and all the class stuff. There's a lot of really interesting class things that were available, and it's like one of those you can't afford to take all the classes, you know, um, but yeah, it's going to be fun to do the Jingle Ball and all that. And so, like I said, if you want to go, even if you don't take a class, the tickets are the general admission tickets are just $15 plus tax or whatever. Um, and so yeah, it'll be fun anyway. Even if you don't take a class, it'll be fun to just sit and stitch with other people, and all there's all kinds of fun stuff, and the shopping hall at the Jingle Ball, so you can buy more patterns and stuff. And I'm sure there'll be exclusive patterns. And that's what always gets me. It's like, ooh, I really want that. They'll be available in a year. If you don't go to Jingle Ball, if you don't buy the exclusives, they'll be available. They'll be released to the public in about a year. But it's very tempting to say, ooh, I want to get that. So yeah. Anyway, I'm saving my pennies. um, But so yeah, that's all I have to talk about. I've been talking for an hour. Um, so I will see you next week. I will be filming a video. Even though it's right after Thanksgiving, I will be filming a video. Uh, yeah. So I think that's it. So thank you for watching, and I will see you next week. Bye.